And now, Peter Gallant.
April 1983, the first bombing of the embassy in Beirut. The day of the bombing, they called me and said, I had to get back to Athens, pack up to lead a team of Seabees into Beirut, along with some technical folks that were going in from other agencies. And we responded in there as the first response team in there to the bombing in 83. We had some information. We were in the process of DS as a whole, at that time to SY, was just developing a lot of standards for physical security. At the time of the bombing, the Delta barricades that were just being installed had not been installed yet. And in the case of the Corniche running along the water where the embassy was, the driver of the vehicle that came in actually came in through the exit area. He came across traffic and came through the exit area. There was no information, no intelligence that we were targeted or anything else. So it was significant for DS, and one that we didn't have a strong capacity at that point. As I said, we were very few. There were only 2 security officers there at the time. Dick Gannon was the RSO, and Bill Lamb was the agent responsible for the ambassador's protection detail. So when we went in there, we also met up with George Larson, who came in to support the security office of this thing. So we had a number of responsibilities. We coordinated the investigation with the FBI, which at the time only sent in 1 FBI agent to look at the investigation. But our role was primarily to help support the embassy in getting back up and on its feet. The building itself had been completely destroyed. There was various thoughts of why that particular day or why that site, and I'm not speaking out of turn, I don't think, to say that the largest contingent lost there of American lives was from the CIA. They were having a conference there with their Middle East people, and some people believed that was the actual target. But in any case, when we responded, George kind of took over security for Dick Gannon, working with him, working with the Post in terms of how they wanted to run routes during the day, these sorts of things. Bill was still doing the protection. My primary role with the team that I went in was to do the recovery operation. How do we get the embassy back up and functioning again? From a physical security standpoint, and also how do you transport people? We lost all our vehicles there, so we were in buying cars. So we set up a team of one of the Seabees I brought in, worked with some locals to light armor a number of new vehicles that we purchased. Another team was in doing physical security. We moved to an apartment complex just down from the embassy. We were fortunate at the time in that the outer perimeter, which there was none, the Lebanese government agreed to shut down the street, but we were fortunate enough to be able to get some Marines that were up on Black Beach, which the barracks were bombed several months later. They came down and provided physical security and closing off the streets there. In addition to having this contingent we brought in and the Marines from Black Beach, we were able to get a team of 8 Navy SEALs that were on a boat, a ship out in the water, and they decided to come in and they could help. And they were very helpful. They just wanted off the boat, really, is what they wanted. Off that ship for a while. They'd been out there floating around for several months. And they were able to come in and they provided a lot of additional capacity for us at that time. The first time DS ever tried to figure out how do we respond to a crisis like this. The crisis action plans were still in their infancy. We hadn't really developed an institutional process for responding to these crises. Working with the locals that we had there, the embassy staff locals, we were able to put together a physical presence in which we rebuilt a counselor section, armored cars, and we rebuilt a secure area for them. But we also had a lot in the building that had been bombed that we had to do because there was things they wanted removed. So for example, all the safes, the Marines from Black Beach had moved a lot of them up to the ambassador's residence in Yarzy, where they had decided to set up a secure area between the embassy compound down on the Corniche and The RZ operation was a significant challenge because you had to cross the green line at the time in Beirut. Searching for body parts and picking up body parts and these things. When we went through the embassy, Bill Lamb had been doing it for about a day and a half, 2 days by the time we got there. He was pretty exhausted. There was concerns because the Russian embassy was just 3 doors down the block. They could see everything in the building because the whole front wall was gone. They could see everything, the skiff area, the secure conference room, all those things were physically exposed. How do we set our priorities? Personally, I felt it was a challenge. The team I had in there at the time was fairly small. As for an investigation, we really weren't doing a whole lot of investigation at that point. We just didn't have the capacity to do it as to what actually happened.
You've been listening to retired DSS Special Agent Peter Gallant.